Barcelona has had some of the best and most controversial players in football history, and today I'll explain every level of Barcelona players, starting with level 1, the undesirables, most hated, traitors, and players who offered nothing for the club. We have two main candidates for this position, and they are both traitors who have done huge damage for the club, Ousmane Dembele and Luis Figo. Even though Dembele won the Ballon d'Or with PSG, at Barcelona he was always injured. The players supported him and were always patient, and in turn, Dembele went to PSG and instructed them to activate his 50 million euros clause, instead of pushing them to pay his full transfer value of 100 million euros to help Barca if he was leaving the club anyway. But while Dembele was catastrophic, Luis Figo was much worse. In the late 90s, Luis Figo became the symbol of Barcelona. Someone like Messi when we think about this team. And just like the GOAT, every Barca fan adored Figo. He was not only the best player for them, he was also the best player in the world. He won 2 La Liga titles, 2 Copa del Reys, 1 UEFA Cup winners and 2 Spanish Super Cups. But while Barca enjoyed him, Florentino Perez became the Real Madrid president, promising fans he will sign Luis Figo, the best player in the world. And to convince him, Perez offered Figo 1.6 million euros just to sign the contract. But with a twist. If Florentino Perez didn't win the elections, Figo could keep the money. If he did, Figo would have to sign for Real Madrid. And so it happened. Everyone was in shock, and when Luis Figo returned to Camp Nou, Barca fans threw a pig's head at him. Bottles, golf balls, lighters, they whistled every time he touched the ball or even ran. It's fair to say this was the most violent reception in football history. Level 2, Forgettable. These are players who were just there. They played at Barcelona for some time, many know they did, others don't even care. Like, did you know that Ricardo Quaresma played for Barcelona? Moreover, he was picked over Cristiano Ronaldo. In 2003, Barca could have signed Ronaldo for just 14 million pounds, but instead they chose Ricardo Quaresma as the more talented player, because they both played at Sporting Lisbon. Many don't know this just because Quaresma was a forgettable player at Barca. He lasted just 1 season and went back to Portugal where he signed for Porto. Another example would be Kevin Prince Boateng, and if it wasn't for the memes, no current Barca fan would know that he represented the Blaugranas, and it was also fairly recent. In 2019 he was signed on a loan deal. He played 5 matches, scored 0 goals and gave away 0 assists. At least he received a yellow card, but I would also add Adama Traore to the list, but not for his time at La Masia. For that I made another video. I'm talking about his return spell. He is perceived as a hero of dark times, but nobody remembers him now. He had 1 goal and 4 assists in 21 games. Could have been something good, but he ended up being forgotten. Now on level 3 we are starting to talk about some serious players who were flops, big transfers that failed. I could honestly put every signing in the Bartomeu era on this list, but we are going to talk about the worst ones, the most expensive transfers. Antoine Griezmann. He was signed for 120 million euros as a Galactico. Barca wanted a player to grab all the headlines, but he just didn't fit the system. Many times he was forced to play as a left winger, right winger or striker when his role is a shadow striker. And in the end he was transferred back to Atletico Madrid for a massive loss. He was loved because he kept trying even though it was clear it would never work, but he is a flop nonetheless. Malcolm also belongs in this category, a very good talent. He was sensational at times. But again, just like with Griezmann, the manager at that time, Valverde, never wanted him, and so he spent most of the time on the bench only to be sold in the end to Zenit. But the worst one has to be Coutinho, the most expensive Barcelona signing ever. He flops at the club, then goes to Bayern Munich on a loan and plays a huge role by scoring 2 goals in Barcelona's worst ever UCL match, the 8-2 against Bayern Munich. For fans, he was a dream signing, but he ended up being the worst nightmare for the club. Moving on to level 4, we have decent players who were either used for rotation or they just had a reduced role and they did well. well. The first player that comes to my mind is Paulinho. In 2017-2018, Bartomeu bought him from the Chinese league. He was 29 years old, he had no talent, and to be honest, the club didn't need him at that time. Everyone thought Barca just wasted their money, but he surprised even Real Madrid fans with his performances, especially that one in the 2017 Christmas El Clásico. He played 49 games, scored 9 goals, and was an instrumental part in Barcelona winning that La Liga title. At one point, he became a starter with Rakitic and Busquets in midfield, and to make his story better, when he was sold, he went for 40 million euros. Barca didn't lose a single penny on him. He did his job and left in silence after one season. And another player who had a very similar story to Paulinho is Luuk de Jong. He is considered as the hero of dark times. He joined Barca on loan in 2021 and he was the worst possible signing, but a necessary one nonetheless. Everyone at the club hated him at first, but when Xavi became the manager and used him in a different role to how Koeman used him, de Jong became a legend for 6 months. He scored late winners and was the best player in the box because of his little headers. I can tell you one thing for sure, he may have been a stupid signing, but Barca fans will always love him because of how professional he was despite of all the hate he received. But maybe the best example ever of a rotation player, a jack of all trades but master of none, is Sergio Roberto. This guy had a gift and a curse at the same time. He could play everywhere, but he couldn't do it well enough. He was mainly used as a right back and midfielder, and this guy was literally the haram of versatile players. He remained at the club until 2024 when his deal finally expired. He made 373 appearances at the club, but he will always be remembered for this one. That goal against PSG in the 6-1 match. He lived off from that PR until the end of his career. But now, this is where the real deal starts. Level 5. Fan favorites and future legends. But before we talk about that, I work really hard for these videos, so a subscribe would be greatly appreciated, and a like, it takes you only 3 seconds. Thank you in advance. This is the level where we don't talk about players who had an impact for only 1 season or less. Only players that love the club a lot deserve to be here, and I might get a lot of hate, but I'm speaking facts when I say that Rafinha, Pedri and Lewandowski deserve to be on this level. They are not legends yet, give them 1 more year and then we'll talk. But they are surely really loved here. There was a lot of doubt surrounding Lewandowski's transfer. He is too old, Barca paid too much for him and he won't fit the system, is what many said. And yet, here we are. In 3 seasons since he has been here, he didn't score less than 20 goals. In fact, last season he had 42 goals and was Barca's top scorer. He is also the most professional player you have ever seen. He never complains, he always works and accepts what the club tells him. Rafinha is very similar. Even if Barca fans hated on him at first, he showed how much he loves this club on every occasion he had. He fought for his place and I don't think there are any players in the world who play with the same passion as Rafinha. He was robbed in the Ballon d'Or, but this season he will bounce back. Pedri though is different from these two. This guy is simply a joy to watch. He is loved because of his talent and because of how good he is. At times he is the most entertaining player on the planet. Same could be said about Yamal, who is already one of the best players in the world at just 18. I also have to mention Thierry Henry, one of my favorites. But as great as they are, a level above them is level 6, Barcelona legends. This place is not for everybody, only for the players who committed their entire life to this club. Players like Sergio Busquets, Iniesta, Cruyff, Xavi, Carles Puyol, Piqué, Ronaldinho, Suarez. No, Neymar is not here because he betrayed the club. Real fans will never forget what he did, but in all honesty, his performances with Barcelona were legendary. But talking about loyal players, the guys I have just mentioned are responsible for making this club so well known, with someone like Cruyff even being the reason why Barca has this attacking style and tiki-taka as their tradition. As for someone like Busquets, Iniesta and Xavi, they were the ones who applied this style on the pitch to perfection. Puyol loved Barcelona more than his wife probably, and he put his body on the line several times, while Piqué, his defensive partner, dedicated dedicated his career both on and off the pitch to Barca. In the coming years, he might even be the president, while players like Suarez and Ronaldinho made fans all over the world enjoy Barcelona's style of play, especially Ronaldinho. Other Barca legends are Victor Valdés, David Villa, Pedro Rodriguez, Rivaldo, Pep Guardiola, and many others. But while we talked about legends of the club, there is still one level left, and that is level 7, entirely dedicated to Lionel Messi. There are club legends, and then there is this. Many know of Barcelona or love it just because of Lionel Messi. Many started playing or watching football because of Lionel Messi, and there is really no point in me stating the obvious. Messi is the greatest ever player for both the club and football. Nobody will ever reach this level of greatness again, and there is a very simple reason why. When you watch great players, you say, "Whoa, what a great goal or performance." When you watch Messi, you think, "How the hell did he do that?" It's a fine line between greatness and Messi's level, and I genuinely can't see anyone reaching his status. Yes, Yamal is great at a very young age, but he is not as disciplined as Messi was. Mbappe is old, and it is already too late for other talents. With that being said, this concludes our 7 levels of Barca players. If you enjoyed this video, check this one out. YouTube thinks you'll love it.